breakthrough technologies, solutions for public sector and industry. Today we'll be discussing some exciting topics, including export potential of this industry in the Russian Federation, strategic partnerships and methods of achieving common goals, complex approach of Rosatom and the Russian industry to digital solutions on international markets. And we'll give the floor to the speakers present here today and to the speakers who have joined us online to get familiar with the digital solutions that we offer for the Middle East and other markets. And my first question will be for Parsh and Maxim. Maxim, how do you see international cooperation and what are the tools for cooperation that are most important right now? Maxim, the floor is yours. Dear colleagues, I am happy to be here at this important event. Indeed, for us, international cooperation and export is one of the direction of our efforts. And Russia is and has been for the past year is one of the most favorable places for IT community. As you know, the tax is down to 3% and we are one of the most favorable countries for IT developers in the world. And we see that it's not only internal demand is growing, but we also see that our products are in demand for export. More than 20% of export growth we saw last year, more than $60 billion. And that's why we believe that this is really a breakthrough direction for us. Last year, we signed an agreement between the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Ministry of the Communications and Mass Media to create an Institute of Digital Attaches in 16 countries. So such institutes will be created in 16 countries, including the UAE. So we think that UAE will be a hub for our future promotion of these technologies in this region. So it is our priority. And we see a lot of potential in the Russian IT sector. And once again, I would like to say that Russian IT business is actively promoting itself in the world. Thank you very much. Thank you for your insight on the condition of the development of IT industry and your plans of promoting your products on international markets. And I would like to move to a more practical aspect. What relationships do we have? What partnerships do we have in terms of IT solutions with the UAE? And my question is to Alexei Busev. Do we see any demand for Russian IT solutions on the UAE market? And do you see any initiatives from the UAE public or private companies in terms of cooperation with the Russian IT sector? Thank you very much for your question. And good afternoon, dear guests. here in the hall and those online. Thank you for Rosatom for the invitation. It is one of the first events this year in the Russian pavilion, and I believe that it's one of the two priority interests for us. I hope we will keep such dynamics for the rest of the year. And next year, the UAE will be the main guest at the St. Petersburg's forum. So this year is for us to develop our business projects, contacts, and initiatives with our Emirati partners. Just a couple of words on what we do at the Russian Emirates Business Council in terms of IT and innovations. This is one of our priorities. Last year, we had an event, an IT event, and answering your question, the local government pays a lot of attention on this sector. Tamiz Yudi, who is the Minister of Trade, opened our event, so this proves how important the event was. Speaking about what's happening inside the country, the UAE is probably one of the pioneers in terms of implementation of digital solutions on the government level, and I believe many countries can learn from them. Abu Dhabi has the initiative of digital government. In Dubai, just at the end of the last year, they separated Dubai Trade and Industry Chamber, and they created Dubai Chamber for Digital Strategy. So it's a special body that will be developing a digital strategy of the UAE. And a separate association that was created, I will not go into details. In terms of demand for the Russian IT solutions, indeed, the UAE wants to see technologies here. I would probably not say that they're looking specifically for something in Russia. We should be speaking more about what Russia can offer for the UAE. And maybe IT products is what Russia can indeed offer to the UAE, taking into account the political developments. And then the UAE should be one of the priorities for Russia in the world. And last year, it was a telling year, despite the pandemic. We have now tens of companies who joined the market thanks to the pandemic. For example, Kaspersky or InfoWatch. But I'm not speaking only about such companies. It's not only the questions of security. For the past quarter, we saw 3 new companies. One is working with free zones administrations in Abu Dhabi to develop marketplaces. Another company develops solutions for banking systems. So I cannot say that the UAE is looking for something specific in Russia. Indeed, there is demand for technologies. And there's one more aspect I want to mention, and I'm sure my colleagues will be speaking about it later. Unlike our Western partners from Europe or North America, who mostly look at offering certain solutions, and they want to make their partners hooked on their solutions. Russian companies, they look at localization more, and they want to have more integration with local companies. After oil price dropped, local holdings are looking at diversification options for their business. We see 1 or 2 companies coming to us every month. I'm not speaking about major government programs, because we are, as a business council, we mostly work with small and medium businesses. So we see some interest. And historically, the interest of major business families is now there for Russian partners, because they are looking for Russian partners to work together on their solutions in oil and gas, energy, fintech. And as a business council, we are always ready to share information with them and look for partners for them. Once again, there is potential for the Russian companies, and for the UAE, it is a priority, and it's also the priority for Russia, taking into account all of our political developments now, because through the UAE, they can reach all of the MENA region markets. Alexei, thank you so much for your insights from the Middle East markets or Gulf countries markets. I'm sure this information is relevant to many of our guests here. And I would now like to ask Ekaterina Solntseva, who will speak about the global agenda of Rosatom in terms of digital solutions. Dear colleagues, thank you so much that you have attended this session, and thank you for those who have joined us online. I represent digital development at Rosatom, and I'm happy that we are actively using digital solutions. At the same time, of course, it is sad that we cannot see audience face to face offline, and I hope we will see each other more often offline in the future. Answering your question, a couple of words on Rosatom developments here. Of course, everybody knows Rosatom as a nuclear corporation, and indeed it is the core of our work. At the same time, technology related to nuclear energy or to energy in general is also our priority. For example, wind energy, we also have nuclear medicine, and Rosatom is actively working with IT solutions developments on the Russian market, developers on the world market, and we ourselves are developing various products, of course, primarily for the for our primary lines of business. We are now at a time where cooperation of different players is critically important, so we pay a lot of attention on it. That's why the current session has the speakers that we see here, and thank you very much to the Deputy Minister, Maxim Parshin, who is in the office on Sunday. Maxim, thank you so much. So we have invited the representatives from business communities such as Alexei, and also colleagues and friends from fintech markets who help us develop our digital solutions. And they already have rich experience of working at their local markets and abroad. And they are ready to present their digital solutions to foreign markets. In order for us to go deeper into this, I would ask you one more question. What is the role that Rosatom is playing and should be playing to promote digital solutions to foreign markets? And would you please tell us in which sectors the Russian IT solutions have most more advantages? I already started speaking about it. We work closely with various players on IT markets, from vendors to regulators to technology business products users. We see a lot of potential in cooperation, which is not an easy task, because speaking one language with representatives of various industries and companies, it's a challenging task. So we put a lot of effort into this, and we believe we can transmit this knowledge and competencies in terms of technology intensive products, and also in terms of cooperation with IT startups. It is critical to involve regulators into our work. And I would say that together we have one common goal, which is the development of the world IT market. And here I would like to draw your attention to two things. First, digital solutions are what improves the efficiency of any business and makes it more secure. And second, it also requires some global rethinking in terms of, I'm not afraid to say it, the role of digital in our life, in the life of human beings. Because the digital revolution that is going on right now is just the first step to the real digital changes. Look, after our session, there will be one more session on quantum computing, and I invite you all to this session, by the way. We understand that quantum computing, neuromorphic technologies, and a number of various technologies will change our life, not only in terms of efficiency and competitive edge, but it will change such major questions, philosophical questions of where a human being ends and where technology begins. A telling example would be neurotechnologies that are now aimed at creating an opportunity to treat chronic diseases by adjusting the operation of the brain, by placing neurochips into the brain. It might sound scary, I know. And there are ethical questions, such as where is the border between impacting a person when a person is being treated medically, and on the other hand, impacting the will of that person. And this is what we will see in our nearest future. In terms of quantum technologies, a lot of people discuss the power of the quantum computing, but not everyone can actually predict how quantum computing will change our lives. I believe many people know that in the 1940s, there were discussions about how many tasks, how many computers will be needed to solve all of the problems in the world. And they were speaking about if it's enough to have 3, 5, or 10 computers. And now each of us has several computers, and nobody could predict it. Right now, the number of computers in the world is way more. And they were speaking just about some units of computers. And today we are in a similar position. Quantum computer will be so different from our today's computer. And the potential that it will have, it's really difficult to imagine right now. So we now start to work with the technologies suited for the power that we don't know how it will change humankind. We could compare it to the appearance of nuclear technologies in the last century. And as you know, the pathway of learning to use them was not an easy one. We had to learn how to use them in a peaceful way. And so digital technologies are nuclear technologies of the 21st century. So all of the players on the market should feel responsible not only for the growth of their own businesses or the economy of their countries, but they should be responsible for how digital technologies will impact the humankind. And we cannot be discussing this without major players, and that's the role of Rosatom. Summing up, I would like to emphasize that we should focus on two main issues: how digital technologies will help develop the economy, and second, how digital technologies will influence our lives in general, and what should we do so that this impact is positive.
I'm afraid that I gave a quite a long answer, and I'd still like to leave some time for further discussion. So let me say just a few brief words about the areas and directions that we see as the most prospective ones. And it is on purpose that we invited the representatives of these areas to speak at this panel here today. So very briefly, let me enumerate them now, and then the colleagues during their presentations will be able to go into the details in presenting the relevant issues pertaining to the different aspects of digital technologies. So, first of all, of course, Russia is more than just competitive as far as math, physics, and decoding or programming is concerned. As a consequence of that, software of mathematical modeling and software in the area of mathematical modeling are very promising on the global market. They have great prospects, and we're going to be discussing that in great detail. The second area would be the area of cybersecurity, of course. the Russian hackers brand is well known all over the world and to a significant degree. This is, how should I put it, it's not always a well justified scary tale, but at the same time, to protect information systems, one needs to understand how the people that are going to try to break into them think. And this is why it is impossible to protect, to defend a system without understanding where and what sort of an attack you should expect to come from. Consequently, our cybersecurity companies have the most developed technologies, and we do have something to tell the world about in this regard. And then, of course, well, as you know, Rosatom builds a lot of nuclear power plants all over the world, and the construction of a nuclear power plant is the construction of the most complicated facility out there on the face of this earth, because it starts with the building of a city in any case, and then later on you have the construction as such. That takes upwards of 5 years. This is a high-tech, complicated facility, which is of course impossible without managing this process. And the process needs to be managed with the help of digital technologies. This is why systems for the support of building complicated engineering facilities and engaging different partners in this process is exactly what Rosatom has learned to do well, and we will have a separate presentation on this topic here today. And furthermore, quite naturally, I have to say a few words about the Russian development of artificial intelligence systems. And in this regard, we also have something to boast about. Russia has a company, and one of them is represented here. So there are companies in Russia that work in the area of the AI from the moment the concept, the idea was born. And in particular, the system of working with texts, with languages at the level of understanding the text and the actual meaning of the text. This is something where Russia has a significant share of the global market, and this is the area that's actively developing now. So to put it in a nutshell, that's about it. This is my overview, and I would suggest that we now give the floor to the representatives of specific areas for them to tell us the details. So, Yekaterina, you touched upon a very important topic, and then on the other hand, it is the topic that is probably most frequently present in the media environment, and the reasons are clear. This is the topic of cybersecurity. This is quite a natural process with the growth of complexity and the number of digital solutions that are applied in all sectors, including public and private. Quite naturally, the growth of objectives associated with their protection also grows. And in this regard, I'd like to listen to the opinion of one of the experts in this area, Mr. Maximov Yuri Vladimirovich, who is the advisor to the minister, and at the same time, he has a great experience in implementing projects and in creation of companies in the area of cybersecurity. Yuri Vladimirovich, could you please tell us about your experience of interacting with Rosatom in this area? What do you do and what do you focus on? Right, thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I guess before telling you about the experience, I'd like to tell you about the industry, about the cybersecurity industry as such. You see, we see over the last 1 or 2 years, there is a dramatic change of the landscape of the cybersecurity market in the world. Two biggest trends are, first of all, crime has risen dramatically, and we can all feel that, both physical persons and representatives of companies. Why is this happening? First of all, this computerization and digitalization leads to the dependence of our world on this. On the other hand, there is, how should I put it, the growing up, the maturity of this cybersecurity market and the cybercrime market is also growing. there is division of labor, people provide instruments and tools, people provide support, and then the people scale up the volume of such crimes. And second, the world has discovered the word blackmail, really, whereas previously during the cybersecurity they would simply steal the money from financial entities where you could actually steal real money. Now they can just show how they can inflict unacceptable harm for the top management, and they're saying, well, if you don't want this to happen, you have to pay. And in reality, many people actually end up paying. We don't see this in the world because no one is interested in showing how the issue was resolved. Remember, some time ago there was a piece of news that the entire database of health records in Ireland were stolen, and the people said, if you don't give us $50 million, we're going to publish that. And then the news just disappeared from the radar. That means that if you don't pay the 50 million, then this is the end of you. But if you do pay, that's also the end of you. And somehow all these things are being addressed. Companies have their accounts. There are digital currencies right now. And that means that this entire shadow part of the world is there. It exists, and we cannot ignore this. The second important trend is the following. You know, right now in the world there is this geopolitical standoff, and it touches upon the digital part of the world. We start hearing about such things as cyber warfare, sanction policies, pressure, and we heard many times when products of conflicting countries would simply stop working when some problems between the two countries begin to emerge. Sanctions are introduced and then the products don't work and cybersecurity goes down to zero. So of course in this environment, cybersecurity is gaining a completely new meaning, if I can put it that way. And fortunately in Russia, and I'm pretty sure no one doubts that, Russia is well known for its coders, engineers and hackers. But I'd like to note, what is a hacker? A hacker is not a crime. Being a hacker means you have the ability to see the essence of things. You see the deficiencies, how to take advantage of this strength. That's the decision of a particular person. And you know, Russians have this hacking way of thinking. They don't read instructions and manuals. They try to understand how things work. We even have this saying, right, that the strict nature of the Russian laws is compensated by the fact that you don't have to follow them. So we keep drilling down to the essence. We keep searching for new ways and methods, and we are lucky. This cybersecurity industry is one of the best developed in the world in our country. We're lucky there. But as I already mentioned, at times of geopolitical confrontation and taking into account the fact that we're going into digital, this is very relevant. Therefore, we believe that we in Russia are at the forefront of the technologies, at the cutting edge of such technologies in the world. You see, cybersecurity is a set of rules and recommendations. Do this, do that. We know that you have to have antivirus software, firewalls, etc. And the way of thinking about cybersecurity has been like this for the last 20 years. Now, taking into account the geopolitical confrontation and the growth of crime, the situation has changed. It is clear now that if you don't formulate a clear outcome of cybersecurity, then words are not going to help us. You see, and I really like this example from real life about fire safety. You see, fire safety has a very clear understanding of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Whenever you develop the methodology for fire safety, you're saying that the building may be destroyed, for instance, the walls can go down or the windows, but most importantly, people shouldn't die. And this target setting leads to the situation where people usually don't die during fires. You go to any hotel, you don't have to look around. Take a look over there. It shows you where to run, what to do. This is path to salvation. Therefore, cybersecurity in principle, the cybersecurity industry is going to go through the same transformation. We have to clearly formulate what is unacceptable from the point of view of an attack. And taking this blackmail into account, taking into account the criminal organizations that are involved in blackmail, we understand what is not acceptable. When people call you and they're saying you have 6, for instance, furnace or melters. We have stopped 5, or we will steal this sort of money. You have to pay us that kind of money, or we will stop your GSM communication or ATM. So the world is beginning to understand what is an unacceptable consequence of a cyber attack. And we in Russia believe that we are at the top of the world. We started building the security that can respond to this challenge. We are saying, let's develop what is unacceptable for us, and cybersecurity will ensure this outcome. What does that mean? Hackers will come, they will try to do this, and they will not be able to. They will come again and again, they fail. They come again and they fail again. We cannot say that this is 100% probability, as with the fire safety, right? Who can guarantee that people will never die during a fire? But usually when people do die, they call this something like, well, it was a terrible consequence, a terrible incident. The same here. But when the incident in the area of cybersecurity happens, the basic unacceptable risk should not materialize. And this is what we do in Russia. We even created a consortium of Russian vendors where, first and foremost, we train using ourselves. The key companies in the Russian area of cybersecurity have formulated unacceptable risks and started to check, to verify each other using hacking methods, whether we are resistant to them. And you wouldn't believe it, but this path took many years. And accomplishing such a result when the vendor can protect himself from this issue is quite amazing. And this is why, of course, right now we have an answer to the geopolitical confrontation, and we have an answer to the difficulties that the criminals are creating for us. Now, why is it so important, and it was so important, to have this new form of partnership? Because in reality, state security is not an issue of one company or two companies. A commercial company must not think about the security of the state. It must think about commercial profits, right? But at the same time, the state is not the best customer for building a major system that, at the scale of the entire country, would be able to provide outcomes like that. This is why, for the last few years, we've been building a new form of interaction between commercial companies and state entities, state companies, also commercial companies, but state, but government owned. And they can become this bridge between the commercial world and the global contract with the state to accomplish this result when everyone finds its strength. You see, the world of cybersecurity is very fast. What we had 6 months or 1 year ago is no longer relevant today, but at the same time the objectives of cybersecurity are very important and conservative, and marrying these two worlds is a major challenge. And this is why, as real hackers, we're looking for this new form of cooperation between state corporations, including Rosatom, and commercial companies. And you know, this is not just business when one company comes to another company and sells a product. No, this is the cause, this is the business where state entities are saying we can assemble a solution when at the level of the country you can measurably increase the security of the country. That means formulate a list of unacceptable risks for the country, such as a transportation collapse that would lead to fatalities, that may include loss of power in the city when really services don't work, when any infrastructural attacks on a city or a country that would lead to human casualties is also unacceptable. Social attacks, for instance, when on Gosresurсы you have a publication of provocative data, right? And that can actually lead to real fatalities. And if we formulate these risks at the level of the country, the solution that we keep talking about is summoned to achieve a situation where at the level of the state one could move to a new state where all of the above would become impossible. And this is why we, of course, Russian companies, commercial companies, Russian engineers, coders and hackers, we're all developing such products. And in cooperation with Rosatom, we collect the solution, we assemble the solution at the level of the state. And of course we test it in Russia first and foremost, but it is quite evident, and we feel that for us it's a matter of country's survival. If we don't have cybersecurity like this that would ensure this outcome, you see, Russian nuclear energy gave us sovereignty for many years, but now the world is becoming digital, and what is going to ensure the sovereignty, our sovereignty in this new digital world is something different, and for us it's a matter of survival. But we do understand that in reality this is a very attractive and in-demand product that's required all over the world, because Russia, as we feel, in general, is ready to use its strength, its force, as a, how should I put it? The decision is, or the solution is installed, cybersecurity is ensured, and we show that the country is not just protected from such risks and threats, but it also has cyber sovereignty, including sovereignty from us. In other words, in how we develop our product now, the key element is the fact that we, from the very beginning, are aiming to provide this sovereignty and to show how technologies, products, and end solutions work to accomplish this objective. And of course, we feel this high demand in the world. And this is why I think that this is a matter of the next years where we will be able to present this product in the global market, and I'm confident that in partnership with Russian commercial companies and the Russian state, the Russian government, and Russian technological powerful corporations such as Rosatom, we will be able to give the world something that the world currently doesn't have, and we are really proud of that. Thank you very much. So that's to put it in a nutshell. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. I think that the topic is very interesting indeed, and it concerns many of our participants. Of course, the creation of sovereignty, or ensuring the sovereignty, is there, but the instruments to ensure the sovereignty is one of the main tasks and objectives, and the nuclear industry has played and will continue playing a significant role in ensuring Russian sovereignty. But at the same time, with the changing world, with the appearance of new challenges, such a sector as digital technologies, of course, should not and will not stay aside. And in my opinion, one of the ways to acknowledge such sovereignty is the acknowledgement of products at international markets, something that we can offer. And in this regard, I would like to have a very quick discussion with the participation of all our speakers, with the exception of Ekaterina Borisovna, who in her short statement already reflected on this. So I would like to ask the speakers to tell us briefly about the advantages of the Russian IT solutions that they see for the international markets. Let's start with our first speaker online, please. Maxim Viktorovich, please. Right, dear colleagues. Well, I'm not prepared to talk about specific solutions that could be in demand on the global market. I already mentioned that indeed the export of IT solutions is growing. It has crossed the $6 billion mark. And that's according to the data of our association, and there are data from other organizations that are saying that it's actually twice as much. In the register of our domestic software, we have more than 13,000 products, and many of them are quite competitive. Right now, jointly with the Ministry of Industry and Trade and the Export Center, we are developing, how should I put it, a sub-register of the export pool, something that's being actively sold on the foreign markets. And within the framework of our new strategies, we're going to be promoting these solutions, and this is why our solutions are indeed competitive globally, they're effective globally, and we, jointly with our partners, with Rosatom, need to work in partnership to promote our solutions on the global markets. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Alexei Sergeyevich, what could you say about this based on your personal experience of working in the Middle East? You know, I think I will actually add a few words to what Yuri just mentioned. I guess one of the main advantages in general of Russian companies and the Russian smartness is adaptability. I always see real examples when Russian companies, our companies, at the level of the companies and at the level of specific developers, find solutions and offers very actively for some specific situations that couldn't have been resolved otherwise, and they generate some ideas. And I can say that this is probably the main advantage of the Russian developers, because not a single other country, and I don't want to say anything, maybe this is just historical, maybe this is cultural, but not a single other country provides such a huge number of tailor-made things that our developers offer. And I can give you plenty of examples. Over the last 2 months, we had guys that would come here that would get involved, and these are completely different and diverse solutions. And I'm not really immersed in this. And when people tell me that, surprisingly, we have Canadians, Americans, European partners working here, and before us, no one not just offered, but not even initiated any ideas, that feels good. And 1000% I agree with what Yuri said. First of all, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to listen to a professional, but adaptability is important. And the striving, right, by the way, I'd like to say the following. The mentality of the Arabs is, how should I put it, is a bit reversed. The Arab mentality, and I've lived here for 18 years, and I can tell you that I don't fully understand how partners and friends think. I have many Arab friends, but this striving towards conservatism, whereas we have this saying that you really need to measure 7 times and not cut once. Our partners usually have to take measurements 100 times before they actually do something, because they have a certain expectation of knowledge and time. And it goes without saying that the fact that we've started this first, and right now very actively we are implementing solutions in different spheres, and it's great what's been said about security, but we have diverse solutions. Let me repeat myself. In the last 2 months, there were solutions for agriculture, for auto spare parts, for banking entities. In other words, it's all great and it's a source of pleasure. But at the same time, quite often people are saying, and not only about IT, by the way, people say that about any other area. What do our Arab or Emirati partners want from the Russians? No one really wants anything specifically, and no one is running after the Russians. You really need to take a look at this from a different angle. We have things to offer, and we don't have to offer that to our Arab partners only. At the same time, we have to emphasize that the Emirates, from the point of view of business transparency, from the point of view of business infrastructure that had been created here, are much more clear, much more comfortable and convenient. But we shouldn't forget that there are other large, interesting markets around us that are opening up to a great degree thanks to the wise decisions and policies of the Russian government, and that includes Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the Emirates in this regard are a hub of sorts to enter such markets. And right now, Saudi Arabia, as you know, from January 1st, satellite has been operational, and we hope that we will have a lot of Russian IT companies that will go to the market of that neighboring country. Apologies for drifting off the topic, but thank you. Thank you very much for your statement. Speakers, could you please speak a little closer to the microphone, because we have a large number of online participants, and consequently, if we are quiet, they don't really hear our statements well. And in conclusion, I would like to give the floor to Yuri. Please, same question. Yuri. Right, thank you. Let me build on Alexei's thought about mentality. You see, to understand where to look from the point of view of Russian technologies and products, it wouldn't hurt to understand the mentality of the Russian tech guys, right? Just take a look at it. What is the driver for a Russian tech guy to actually want to do something? It's not money, believe it or not. Russian tech guys, you see, they're not interested in money that much. It's either when it's really interesting or when everything is so bad that you really need to save the situation. So these are the two big drivers of a Russian tech guy. And this is why, of course, this leads to a situation where we're exceptionally good at high-tech products. And this problem where high-tech products need to be scaled up around the globe is always there, but for that we need to transform it into a major system where there's also the non-interesting part, and you have to keep on working on that part too. But everything that has to do with the real high-tech, artificial intelligence, recognition, big data processing, of course cybersecurity, all these zones where the zones where we have high-tech products. We're still learning to turn them into real products that would be attractive and interesting for the world. And this is why this trend is that we're not really trying for each technical person to develop an international company. We're looking for ways to cooperate, both within the framework of commercial business and at the level of public-private partnership. This is a response or an answer to this situation. Therefore, I think that our products, from the point of view of technologies, will remain high class and they will actually be improved over time. But from the point of view of our delivery capabilities all over the world, this capability will definitely grow. That would be my answer. Right, Ekaterina, please. As far as I understand, you have a brief comment. Yes, you know, we have a very interesting conversation now, and we add on to what we are saying. And I'd like to add a few words to this last phrase about the delivery of our digital solutions to the global markets. And I'd like to draw your attention to the following. Look, Russia, over the last 10 years, has managed to become the first in the world from the point of view of the construction of nuclear power plants. 10 years ago, well, a little more probably, a little more than that, Rosatom and Russia in this case, and these are pretty much synonyms because Rosatom is the Russian nuclear industry, so they were focused on the domestic market, and whilst being technologically a leading company in the area of nuclear technologies, they focused mostly on building up their own nuclear energy industry. But over a period of a little more than 10 years, and as you understand, that when it takes 10 years to build an NPP, it's a very short span of time, we became number one on the global market of nuclear energy from the point of view of the amount of NPPs built and from the point of view of nuclear technologies. How should I put it? We consider ourselves, and very rightfully so, to be the leaders, and it is quite possible that there could be some opponents to this position, but definitely no one in the world will argue against the fact that the Russian nuclear specialists are one of the key players on the global market. This is a well accepted common knowledge, but we believe that the same change may also happen in the digital sphere, because indeed we have a very strong basic education. We have experience. I mean, Rosatom has experience of transforming the industries from the domestic industry to a global industry. And I think that in collaboration with the Russian companies that have already accomplished significant technological outcomes at the competitive global market, we do have something to offer to the global market, and we intend to do just that.
Ekaterina, thank you so much. Just a quick remark, quick comment in addition to Yuri's comment. And based on my experience of working in this region for 26 years and 12 years in IT industry, I would say that UAE, in terms of strategy, would always look into implementing most progressive, most breakthrough technologies. And indeed, technology is a complex, a multi-layered project that would, of course, be interesting for Russian programmers and such companies as Rosatom, because implementing such projects requires a lot of resources, technical, financial, organizational. And I would now like to move to our second part of our session. I am taking an exclusive role as a moderator because Ekaterina is helping me, and she, I could say, has now almost announced our second part. So we are moving to pitch sessions, and I will give the floor to Fomichov Dmitry, who is the director of mathematical modeling at Rosatom. He will be presenting on supercomputing technology and software in science and industry. Dmitry, the floor is yours. Dear colleagues, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today at this session and online. I am happy to welcome you all here. My report will be brief. I will be speaking about the trends in terms of supercomputing technology and software that helps us solve complex engineering tasks using technologies and methodology of mathematical modeling and different aspects of industry, not only nuclear, but also other science-intensive industries. The main tendencies that we are looking at are, of course, world trends and developments in supercomputer modeling. And here we have some analytics insights. And we see that more than half of the tasks and projects led by key industries and science are related to mathematical modeling. And the tasks are solved using commercial solutions and also the local solutions that are dealing with those tasks. Second, what we look at is that the tasks are becoming more and more complex, and the tools of mathematical modeling, computer modeling, are playing a more and more important role. And almost all of the projects of complex solutions are, first of all, related to simulation and digital environment, and only at the second stage we go to experiments or small batch production to see how these solutions work. Here, Rosatom has been developing for more than 10 years a package of supercomputing technology. The package is called Logos. It's a set of interrelated products of mathematical modeling. It uses quantitative approach to predict the parameters and performance of equipment, structures, constructions in various industries and in various phenomena, be it hydrodynamics, gasodynamics, heat transmission, hydrogeological phenomena, magnetic phenomena. All that describes various structures and their impact on the environment, which is also one of the world trends in terms of sustainable development of a company or a country in general. And these program solutions are combined into a computing platform that allows us to solve complex interrelated tasks, model optimized parameters, determine the parameters that best reflect the modes of operation of a product. And also the platform combines various programming codes, programs, software from different developers, be it commercial products or homegrown products created by working groups. So it is a unified platform. This allows to have a multi-physical and full-scale modeling of all the processes and phenomena that we need for a complete and quality description of the products that we create in science and education. As I said, Logos package can be used in the key industries. You can see some of the industries that are our primary industries, and the list is not conclusive. There is experience of using Logos in other industries, but this is just the basis of our company. In terms of software support, we have services that ensure full-scale preparation or training of engineers and scientific fellows. We have 24/7 support for any technical questions. We have a unique opportunity to perform pilot R&D projects as per our customers' requests. We can do it on a paid or unpaid basis. We basically show the potential of our product and how it can be a priority in our customers' industry. We also offer trial versions so that they can try if the program can solve the tasks that the customer is facing. We also do consulting, we do joint R&D projects. We are open for partnership with our colleagues in Russia or in the world. And we're developing SaaS service irrespective of where locally an employee is connected to the resources. And what we do is part of Industry 4.0 because it helps transition design decisions from the physical world into the digital world. That's how we cut time and costs and increase the number of possible operations when we create and test design solutions for our new products and technologies. In other words, Logos is a virtual environment where we create innovation products for different industries. Speaking about each product in more detail, just a couple of words. Aero and hydro, it's our key component. We can model gasodynamics, be it internal stream of coolant in reactors, or gasodynamics for aviation industry, or for science and education. For example, researching the parameters of turbulent flow in terms of their geometrical configurations. The next module is between C&D, modeling, and heat transmission. So this is heat area that allows us to model heat transmission, heat exchange processes, radioactive heat exchange processes. This we use on a daily basis for studying the processes that we deal with in terms of modes of operation of certain products. The third module is resistance or mechanical strength that allows us to perform various tests of the structures, be it dynamic modeling, modal analysis, contact resistance, operational parameters, and so on. All of the areas related to resistance of materials as an independent science, our software is capable of solving such tasks. In terms of integration of solving related tasks, moving to this world trend to perform multi-physics modeling and solving optimization tasks at the same time, we created this solution last year for the Russian market, and soon we'll introduce it to the international market. This is Logos platform, and key element here is not only multi-physics modeling, but also the connection or integration with third-party software to create a full-scale or full functionality tool for users, for engineers to solve practically any tasks related to mathematical modeling. Our basis is that our software product ensures tests, and it's validated based on the methodology that is an international standard. It is attested by the Russian community in terms of its application in nuclear industry, and we are moving towards increasing the complexity of modeling tasks. At the first stage, we test and verify the product on simple tasks, and then the tasks keep getting more and more complex, and finally we use the software product on the real projects that are being constructed or that are almost completed in terms of the technical projects. We look openly and optimistically at international cooperation. We have several successful collaborative projects, and we try to expand our bilateral and multilateral cooperation. We have our French partners who are the greatest energy company in France and one of the energy leaders in the world. We also have the certificate for validation of the products in this class, and we're looking for partnership with such companies as Pharmaton and world-leading universities that train personnel for mathematical supercomputer modeling and technologies in general. This is briefly it. Thank you for your attention. Dmitry, thank you so much for your presentation. And before we move on to our next presentation, I have just 3 technical comments. First, I would like to ask the speakers speak a little bit slower, since we have interpretation for all of the participants online, and maybe interpreters do not keep up with the pace of the speakers. And second, please try to fit your presentation into the 7 minutes limit that you have, so that all of the speakers have the opportunity to present their information within our session. And once again, speak closer to the mic so that interpreters and our guests can hear you well. And our next speaker is Kuraksin Sergey, Director General of Top Systems, who will be presenting on digital design software for the company management. My name is Sergey Kuraskin. I represent Top Systems company, and today in cooperation with Rosatom, I'll be speaking about T-Flex PLM. which is a software for creating digital twins, and it creates digital model of any product. We celebrated 30 years in September, so we're an old player on the Russian market. 4.5 thousand companies use our projects. We have localized products in 6 world languages. 3.5 thousand companies use T-Flex complex around the world. Our major market is Europe, but we are open for cooperation, and hopefully with the support of Rosatom, we can increase our market. T-Flex PLM allows you to organize all of the data throughout the life cycle of a product. It's built on one platform, and all of the vertical solutions are built on the same platform. On the left side, you see the platform, and on the right side, you see the end products for end users. The platform has all major components used by all end products of our complex. The platform consists of several layers. The first one represents data. Here we have database, communications, and so on. The next one is object-oriented model of data that is used throughout the life cycle of a product. Engineering, data, search and reports, and MDM tools. The next one is the automation level. Here we have mail and tasks, we have business processes automation, and we have the tools for managing projects. All of the data inside the platform is very securely protected. There are many interfaces to integrate our complex to many other systems. The first tool is administration. All of the systems are administered with one tool, so you don't have to train to be able to use different tools. In addition to that, the platform allows you to create interfaces of end systems, so it makes it easier to create new systems and administer any other systems. We have standard mechanisms that allows you to integrate using web service. We also have integration with ERP systems and bus exchange of any company. All of the platform has open API. We write our software on this API, and it's also available for our customers to extend the complex. Based on this common platform, we build and software that we offer on the market. So what's included? We have MDM system, the projects and programs managers, requirements management, technical documents management. Then the flagship product is 3D and 2D system plus virtual reality module. We also have electrotechnical design system. We have the system for key element analysis module to analyze dynamics and gear transmissions. All of our products are successfully used at Rosatom companies, but we also cooperate with Rosatom in terms of development, and in 2022 we will complete our full integration of Logos mathematical modeling system, and it will be built in to our system, so the two systems will be integrated. So we have a module of technological preparation of the company, calendar planning module, post-sales services system, plus we have client relationships management module and administration module. The system is open for creation of your own systems using programming languages or without them, using data organization, for example. This is the complex that we offer you today. And when digitizing a company, there is the following task. What do we have to do? We have the requirements management system. The requirements management system is in high demand in aviation and auto manufacturing industries. How do we do this? We have projects and programs management system. For example, our system is used by Roscosmos Corporation. Then what will we do? The management of the structures of items. And we have a good tool for this that allows you to manipulate structures in any way you want. Then we have MDM system that is used by Russian helicopters, and we united the systems in one complex. So all of the systems operate in one information medium. So it allows to use all of the current technologies for designing components. The complex can be scaled, so you can use it within corporations or smaller companies, and you don't have to do anything for that. Today, together with Rosatom, we present you this complex, and thank you for your attention. Sergey, thank you very much, and thank you so much that you have completed your presentation within the time limit. It's a good sign that you take deadlines seriously. Our next speaker is Denis Baranov, who is the CEO of Positive Group. Denis will be presenting online, and he will be speaking about cooperation within the cybersecurity industry for Russian technological solutions-based cyber sovereignty. Good afternoon. I wanted to be there with you, but unfortunately I could not make it. We are one of the biggest players on corporate security and cybersecurity in the Russian Federation. We've been on the market for about 20 years. 80% of the biggest enterprises in Russia are our clients. They use our services to ensure their cybersecurity. 40% of turnaround, and the main direction of our activity is to develop software, cybersecurity software and services. We have a team of white hackers who show companies how they can be hacked, and a team of expert security center. These are people dealing with defense part. They can ensure cybersecurity. For example, they worked on the Olympics and such other major events. The next slide, please. A bit of statistics. As per the data that we have, out all of the clients, we managed to show every one of them how we can hack them. For example, we showed a bank how we can take money from any account or do illegal manipulations with ATM. We also showed corporations how hackers can meddle with their energy equipment. So our team has been doing it for about 20 years, showing the clients how they can be hacked and what risks they have. And for the past years, we've been seeing this trend. Attacking hackers have started hacking not only to steal money or using data that they get for mining, but they can now use business processes of the companies that they attack in order to ask for money or ruin the business processes at the base of the companies that they attack. Here we have several examples on the slide. Colonial Pipeline, that was attacked in 2021. The company sells petroleum products. As a result of the hacker attack last year, they could not supply products to their clients, and they lost the inventory information on their supplies. So there are always weak spots in the infrastructure of any company, and we demonstrate it to our clients. We show them that currently there is the market of cybersecurity, which is at a transition point from the older model to a newer one. And with our participation and with the participation of our colleagues in Russia, this approach that could have lived and prevented risks for major companies was developed. In Russia, we call it QB20. What is it about? So that your company is not attacked and destroyed, we need involvement of top management into work with cyber risks. Before, we had chief information security officers who would buy protection or security packages, and they try to use them for everything. This approach no longer works. Currently, to protect your company from hackers' attacks more efficiently, we should understand what we are protecting our company from. So if you are a banker, you should give a list of most important risks for your company that are not acceptable under any conditions. For example, for a bank, it would be stealing of all of the money from their major accounts. For any industry project, they will not survive damage of the equipment. For any social institute or government, it would be stealing of data of all healthcare patients in the country. So to build this new cybersecurity system, we first have to understand what risks are not acceptable for your company, and then give the tasks to the security service so that they find solutions so that such events would never occur. And if the task is worded correctly, then we can assess the work of your cybersecurity service. So in practice, one team would be building the solution to protect the company from unacceptable events, and then another company that has a team of white hackers will try to hack them.
In other words, in this case, if the white hackers have the objective to check whether it is possible for a certain risk to materialize in my company, they're showing that yes, after all these actions, the risk could have been implemented. That means that the cybersecurity service did not do a good job. If they could, then they did a good job. And then there is a chance, of course, to add another independent team to recheck the results of the work of the first group. So we as a company, in the other companies and ministries, implement such turnkey projects. So we accomplish a situation where every organization, ministry, industry, or a country would not face such key risks, for the risks not to be possible if such hacker attacks materialize. How do we do this? First, we started to learn using our own examples. So we, as a vendor company, the development of the information protection sources and the third-party consulting on turnkey security issues, we have formulated a number of risks. And one of them, the key risk for us, is some injection into our source code that will reach our clients as an update and make our clients more vulnerable. So in the beginning of 2019, we already conducted 3 rounds of cyber drills where we would call in specialists from other companies that tried to implement this risk in our cyber structure. And after each cyber drill, we would work trying to make sure that the situation improves dramatically and for this event to become impossible in principle. At the moment, this state has been accomplished for us and for a number of our clients in Russia, who are our major customers, the largest ones. So what are the conclusions have we arrived at as part of this activity? The conclusions are on the slide. First, to implement the worst risk for any company, quite often all you need is 4 hackers in 1 week of time. That means that in 1 week, if you have a qualified team, you can steal all the money from a bank, or you can damage a physical facility which is controlled by programmable controllers. But to be able to stop the hacker attack, even as part of the cyber drill, when you know that it's actually taking place, you need approximately 30 to 40 cybersecurity specialists from the Cybersecurity Operations Center that would monitor and follow the hacker activities in the infrastructure and try to prevent such attacks. According to our data, per country that works actively on the development of the cybersecurity sphere and trains its specialists, there are currently about 100-200 experts of a high level of qualification in any given country that would be capable of withstanding an attack. But you need less hackers. So if your country is quite well developed, then all the specialists in the area of cybersecurity that you have in the country are enough to protect maybe 4 or 5 companies, but not more than that. And we have made the following conclusion as far as we're concerned. Within the framework of the old paradigm, where the information security services are trying to use people to stop hacker attacks, who actually monitor the defense mechanisms themselves and the settings, you see, this is an unaddressable task. And this has pushed us to create a class of products which are called meta products. And the first meta product for us is the Max Patrol O2. What does that mean? This is a layer, a special product which is based above all these information security sensors that our company had developed previously, and the defense mechanisms that are being applied actively overall to ensure infrastructural defense. But at the same time, we orientate ourselves not at automating the existing processes in the companies. Denise, I have to remind you about the time limit. Right, I only have a couple of slides left. You see, and as far as automation and full automatic humanless work is concerned, you actually have a shift leader above that. So these are the decisions or the solutions that respond to the information security sensors without the operator in the company, and it makes it possible to stop attacks and prevent the materialization of critical risks before hackers can get close to them. So for us, the main trend in the work of the company is the development of this autopilot in the area of cybersecurity. Next slide, please. Let me just finish real quick. So you see, in order to be convinced that this approach is working, we're using 3 instruments. First, cyber drills that we conduct on ourselves and on our clients. So we've become the shift leader with the people that are trying to stop these attacks manually, and our product, our meta product, Max Patrol O2, that does the same automatically. And then we compare their work, and the autopilot, of course, always works better, because at the moment the speed of the attacks are milliseconds, and the human beings are not capable of reacting that fast. And we also have the so-called cyber polygon, the standoff, and this is where we try to repeat the infrastructure of key facilities of a country, and we call 20 to 30 hacker teams for them to implement risks on such infrastructural facilities. This is how it works, and this is where I will end just a brief video. Denis, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your presentation. I hope that you feel well, and I wish that you come out of this quarantine as soon as possible. Now, taking into account the fact that, of course, one of the most important spheres for the application of digital solutions is the intellectual processing of information and the business process analysis, I would like to give the floor to Deputy General Direction ABYY Russia, Oleg Sajin. Please, you have the floor now. Good afternoon, dear participants. First of all, thank you, Rosatom, for inviting us. Thank you for using the technologies, and I hope that you will even use more of our technologies. Let me tell you about the digital transformation, about its acceleration by using digital intellect. All this comes from the ABI company. ABI, for more than 30 years, has been on the market, and we are one of the largest centers for the development of artificial intelligence technologies. More than a third of Fortune 500 companies are using us. We have partners in pretty much all countries where there are computers. The technologies of digital intelligence, in our case, are divided into the intellectual or smart analysis of business processes and the smart data processing. That, in its turn, consists of the generation of information through different types of recognition and search for information, taking into account the meaning of the text, the meanings of the words, using NLP methods. So the technologies for the processing of the natural language. Of course, even though this topic has been out there for quite some time, it is undergoing a rebirth at the moment for the following reasons. The people of today, especially millennials, are educated and brought up by social networks. Social networks work real time, they're interactive, and they customize their response to the user. Whether it's at the level of news or if it's at the level of the main processes. Tinder, for instance, selects material for a specific user. The same applies to Facebook or LinkedIn, that selects colleagues or friends for you. And then this user, especially a millennial, and we have to take into account the fact that they're entering the age of decision making. Very soon they will be selecting their counterparts. They will be allocating budgets for some specific works. So they expect that there would be the same interaction that they see in social networks in the other areas of their lives. If it's a client, then the client expects that from the company, and that influences the B2C sphere. And being an employee of a company, he or she influences the B2B sphere. That means that they will select the counterparts that, how should I put it, that are like social networks, that are fast, interactive, and customized. Consequently, in order to be able to respond to such demands, our technologies used to be used in back end. Now they're being moved to front end to be able to provide the response quickly to the user and interact with the user while using as much information as possible. Information that previously wouldn't be considered, now we have the resources and it is being considered. As far as projects are concerned, we have hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of projects all over the world, starting with the traffic police in California, the prisons of Argentina, leading banks in Brazil, or the tax inspectorate in Australia, and the Society of the Blind in South Africa, and the selection or the election of president in the Central African Republic. Here, randomly, I'm showing a few projects. NPO, Nergamash, and Severstal, just as Bear, use our, how should I put it, intellectual search of data technologies in all their systems. And if you take Energomash, for instance, that's internally. For Sber, that's externally. In external, that's identifying all the news associated with their counterparts, including judicial decisions, change of ownership, etc., etc. So all that is being done to be able to identify risks associated with working with a counterpart. As far as the smart data processing is concerned, FESCO is one of the large Russian transport and logistics companies. They have 13,000 shipments per week. Or take MOEC, they've automated and accelerated by several times the processing of financial documents and financial control and their interaction with the clients. And it is now happening close to this interactivity and real-time scenario. Now, a few more projects that geographically or spiritually a bit close to what we have here. A leading Qatar logistics company, they accelerated their invoice processing time by 64%. And Hellman, it's a German company that has a major unit in Dubai. Per day, they're processing 100,000 customs documents here in Dubai. And they using our technologies, they reduced the resource requirements to do that processing by 10 times. Nuclear power plants in China are using our technologies to digitize their drawings. And it is noteworthy that we also have state projects. In many ministries here, by the way, in the countries around here, we have projects, but state projects such as population censuses. So when you have the census professional coming to each family and they have to fill out a major sheet of paper about all the members of the family, household, house, etc., and then our Abbey technologies played a key role in processing these forms in the most recent population censuses in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Pakistan. Now the last slide. We support or we develop this citizen developer global area. When a common worker, not a coder, can add significant functionality to the software, to the programs that they're working with. In our case, it's new types of documents. They can add new types of documents, where to get the information from, where to send it to, without being a coder. And this is accomplished by the ever greater use of artificial intelligence based on neural networks and machine learning. And they get the so-called low-code or no-code applications as the outcome of the process. And also ESG agenda, sustainable development agenda. We impact all the three areas with our technologies. Our technologies make it possible to save resources. Well, first of all, paper and forest saving, by striving towards optimization of business processes, the energy intensiveness and the resource intensiveness of these processes is also reduced, and social responsibility from a routine and boring type of labor, well, we make people empowered. And our technologies are used for the preservation of cultural heritage, digitalization of archives and libraries, old Gothic fonts, etc. And yet again, when you have clear and streamlined business processes that you have reviewed, you attract a lot of structured data, and your management, by using that, makes more transparent and more qualified decisions, and you have better governance. Oleg, you still have 2 minutes. Oh, I'm done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. As Oleg mentioned, Russian digital solutions and technologies already now are applied in a number of countries, and for me, as the director of the regional center of Rosatom in the Middle East, the closest matter is the application of our technologies in the countries where Rosatom is implementing its projects. And one of the most significant projects in the region, and that goes without saying, is the project for the construction of Al-Taba NPP in Egypt. And I would like to give the floor to the representative of Atomstroy Export and the representative of our main partner in Egypt, Nuclear Power Plants Authority, to deliver a presentation about the application of the multi-D system as part of the implementation of this project. Please, Olga, you will probably start, right? Right.
My name is Olga Tolstunova, and I represent engineering division of Rosatom, ASE. ASE is responsible for engineering and construction of nuclear power plants all over the world. And today we have a joint presentation. Can you please switch on the slides? With Dr. Mohamed Dvidar, one of the leaders of our joint project, construction of nuclear power plant in Egypt. So probably most of you have heard Bill Gates recently told that nuclear energy is the future of our planet, because only nuclear energy can help countries to reach zero emission. And today, me and Dr. Dvidar would like to tell you about our mega project in Egypt, El Daba nuclear power plant project, and about the digital technologies which we use to support this project and to manage this project. So, Dr. Dvidar, please.
Thank you, Ms. Olga. My name is Dr. Mohamed Widar, the project manager for Daba nuclear power plant project. Yes, we believe that nuclear energy is one of the continuous source of energy that give the sustainability required for our nations. At the same time, it is one of the main sources that give more low carbon. It could reach zero carbon emission, and for its long duration, for 60 years of operation, it reach, or it could be one of the sources for sustainable and development for the country. If you please go to the next slide, please. The project, as I said, it is one of the goals that correlate or coincident with the Egyptian Vision 2030. DABA project started in 2015 as the signing of the intergovernmental agreement with the Russian Federation, and at the same time, after that, in 2017, the contract projects have been effective, and as a starting point for the DABA project and for it is fulfillment of our obligation and readiness, DABA project was one of the 3 best starting nuclear projects all over the world. This is what judged in Russian Federation. Also, the project team itself is the one has been announced as the best governmental working team in Egypt to deliver the project and to fulfill the obligation from our Egyptian side.
So for Rosatom, because we have more than 30 nuclear power plants in process of engineering and construction, of course, this is a big challenge, and for Rosatom, it's one of the most challengeable and interesting projects right now.
Well, a DABA project is contains of 4 units, 4 identical units from the VVR 1200. The capacity is around 5 gigawatt electricity, with more than 10 million elements for each unit, and accordingly hundreds of contracts to be applied by different subcontractors in different stages, starting from the design, procurement and construction, then reaching the commissioning, then the operation. This is give the importance why we need information management system, or as it could be some of the digitalization system to consider all the information required, data, technical documentation, and others. As I said, the project in Nuclear Power Plants Authority is a nuclear power plant project. Go through different stages. We already applied the contract phase. Now we are on the designing stage and moving forward to or through different stages to procurement, construction, commissioning, operation for 60 years and maybe more. This is could show for all of us what is the important and how is important that we need to consider one of the information management system that could serve nowadays and for future to control, archive, monitor all the information requirements changes that could be happen in different stages, and to be on the same side, same picture, same understanding for the information handled between the contractor as Atom Story Export and the owner as Nuclear Power Plants Authority.
And so from the side of Rosatom, as Dr. Dvedar already mentioned, even one unit is more than 10 million elements and hundreds of different parties, contractors, to work together to reach the project deadlines and project plans. And of course, just to effectively manage such kind of data and so huge amount of companies and people involved, we use our internal digital platform, multi-D platform, which has inside project management experience, which Rosatom has throughout these years. And we use it for internal automation to reduce cost and time and well, everything for this project, and to seamlessly transfer the data for the stage from contract stage to design, from design to procurement, construction, etc. And as a result, we are collecting all the data to informational model of NPP, and we transfer it to Egyptian party, to Egyptian site throughout multi-D IMS module, and it is currently under development and implementation in the project, and we are really working hard together with the Egyptian side to implement it in the project. So just few words about the features and what multi-D IMS is. It provides us with technical document flow for documents of basic design, detailed design, as-built documentation. It also collects all databases, for example, equipment databases. And as well, it can be used as a report and analytical domain. So you can get any report about the station anytime you need. And yeah, and it turns out to be quite efficient well, interaction mechanisms with the Egyptian side.
As Ms. Olga said, that for this mega project, the importance of getting or having such a system is very valuable, because we need to be as much as transparent at the same time between the contractor and the owner. We need to save time, money, resources. We need to share the knowledge and the information at the same time, archiving, saving all the changes that could happen in the project history and the project implementation. So this will be one or main valuable issues that reserve the project itself and give the benefits for both parties, how and why it's important to use such a system during the project implementation phases.
So basically that's it. And as a conclusion, so huge, mega #1 nuclear power plant project in Egypt is currently managed via digital platform multi-D, and I want to say special thank you, because we're really grateful for our Egypt partner because of their really strict requirements, which motivate us to develop it, to implement it, and to make our digital products better and better from year to year.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm sharing the same information with Ms. Olga, that the system is under development and it's activated and updated from time to time to be effective through all the project phases. Thank you very much.
I think we have just witnessed a great example of joint effort between Rosatom and our main Egyptian partner, which I would like to mention was just on time.
Thank you.
And before we proceed with our concluding presentation, хочу сказать,
I'd like to say and announce that after this presentation we will have a coffee break, and I hope that you will have the opportunity to rest a little, to freshen up. I understand that we have a very intense session, very information-rich session, and it's not just being present. We need to concentrate on the very interesting and important topics that we've raised so far. And now I'd like to give the floor for a presentation to Ivan Panchenko, who is the Deputy Director General of Postgres Professional, who will deliver a presentation about Russian advances in database technology. Right, the Russian advances in database technology. That's the way it sounds in Russian. My slides, please. Good afternoon. I would like to tell you about what's being done in Russia in the area of databases. And you know, quite a lot is being done in Russia in the area of databases, because the history of our participation in the because the history of the participation of Russian developers in the development of databases in the world is quite long. At the end of the Soviet era, in the Soviet Union and in Russia, they developed 22 different database management systems. And all the systems were developing to a lesser or greater degree in the relevant institutes, in the construction bureaus, and design organizations and industrial organizations. And 22 different systems were being developed, but they were either lost or they became part of an international project after that. And in reality, in essence, the development of the database management systems was reset in Russia back in 1995 after the perestroika, with the beginning of the contribution of Russian programmers to the PostgreSQL international project, or Postgres as we call it. After that, besides the development of Postgres, Russia started to develop other systems for database management. One of them has become a unicorn recently, ClickHouse, made in Yandex, and then there is a number of others. So right now Russia has 5 different database management systems. Some of them are commercial, some of them are open source. Our company, Postgres Professional, as you can see from its name, is developing Postgres. The history is about the following. Back in 1996, as I already mentioned, our first contribution to the open source development of Postgres was made by the Russian coders, Oleg Bartunov and Vadim Mihaev. Oleg Bartunov is one of the co-founders of our company. He's still working on Postgres, and as you can see, our contribution to it dates back quite a long time. And the international community recognizes the Russian contribution to the development of this product. It is a great contribution. Since about 2008, in the world, Postgres began to gain recognition as a database for serious industrial systems. This is important, and right now it's pushing out other databases, in fact, all over the globe. And at the same time, it has a significant Russian contribution. Our company has existed for 7 years as a company, although some of our developers have more than 26 years of experience developing this product. About 20 years ago, companies started being formed all over the world in the open source area, and our company is one of such companies. So we currently have more than 130 staff, of which most of them are developers.
On the graph, you can see the place of Postgres in today's world. It is the growth of its popularity as per an independent agency compared to other popular database management systems. You can see that the rest of the databases remain where they are, while Postgres keeps growing. What is the main product of our company? Usually the development of open source products is implemented by entering some patches, changes, or improvements, but not all of the patches can be easily accepted by the community. Not all of them are needed, in fact. That's why we have forks. or deviations from the main project. Some of them are commercial forks. One of such forks is Postgres Pro, is the development database management system. It has some major changes for major clients. One of them is Rosatom, for example. Our company has many developers. As I said, they take part in commercial developments and in the international community. It's quite a strong team with more than 26 years of experience. We try to develop securely. We use minimum bugs for the life cycle of our products, which ensures the security of the product. Obviously, we do not only programming, but also training. We have many workbooks and courses. Some of them are in English. Soon we will have a unique book in English on an internal setup of Postgres that was only written by Russians. We have an international security certificate that allows us to use Postgres for confidential and personal data, so we ensure the required security level and privacy level. And so far, our company is growing at a rate of 2 times a year. As an example, without going into much technical detail, I'll give you the differences of Postgres Pro from the international version. First of all, what we do allows to use it for larger databases that are very loaded. Our customers have databases that are so loaded that the standard version cannot deal with it. And we work on solutions to increase the power of the cluster, to add additional units. We try to get out the maximum out of the hardware, which requires some professional competencies, high-level computing. We deal a lot with the security implications. We also deal with cloud services, cloud databases, and we have greater requirements for them because they have to be operational non-stop. This is what Postgres Pro is about. This is all I wanted to say, and I would like to add that a database is a heart and the center of all digitization. Any digital product has a database at its core. That's why we are here. That's why we are partnering with Rosatom. Since any digital product has a database, if it's not very secure and productive, the product will not be successful. If it's good, we can build a digital future for humankind. Thank you. Ivan, thank you very much. And to conclude our today's first session, I would like to briefly mention that, of course, after listening to all of our presentations from our speakers about the breakthrough technologies of Rosatom and from our partners in various fields, from cybersecurity to database, and I agree with Ivan that it's a cornerstone for many IT solutions. We cannot imagine a stable and secure system without databases. I would like to say that if you have any questions, you can send them to our regional center, Rosatom International Center in Dubai, and we will reply to your emails, and if needed, we will conduct meetings at our offices at any time convenient for you or your partners. In addition to on-site meetings, we are also happy to do video conferencing, and we can conduct meetings online as well. Rosatom International Network is a Rosatom structure that is promoting new Rosatom products together with partnerships inside Rosatom, and we can see that the digital component of Rosatom will be successful in the future, and we will be successfully promoting digital solutions that will be supplied to the Middle East and North Africa regions. Thank you for your participation, and please have a look at the souvenirs that were presented to you. They are the so-called Russian hats, and please let's have a final photo wearing those hats. It will be quite a